The Galactic Council's dilemma. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched like a vast dome above the gathered representatives. Hundreds of species from across the galaxy sat in floating pods, their forms as different as the stars themselves. Some glowed with inner light, others moved like liquid metal, and a few existed as pure energy contained in crystal shells. At the center of it all stood the speaker's platform where today's most important discussion would take place. Ambassador Valari floated to the platform in her shimmering form. Her people, the Nexarians, were known for their cold logic and perfect memory. She rarely showed emotion, but today her silver skin flickered with nervous energy. Council members, Valari began, her voice echoing through the hall, we are here to discuss the humans' request to join our alliance. A wave of whispers spread through the chamber. The humans were famous throughout the galaxy, but not for good reasons. Stories about them traveled faster than their own ships. Council Prime Scala raised his massive form from his seat. His species, the Karani, were ancient and wise. They had seen many civilizations rise and fall. The humans are dangerous, Ambassador Valari, he rumbled. Our reports show they fight wars that cannot be won. They refuse to surrender even when defeat is certain. That is correct, Prime Scala, Valari replied, but they have also shown remarkable growth. They have stopped fighting among themselves. They seek peace with us. From across the hall, Representative Morin spoke up, his insect-like form clicking as he moved. Peace. These creatures form emotional bonds with their enemies. They rescue those who try to kill them. This is not normal behavior for intelligent life. More voices joined the discussion. The council had heard many strange stories about humans. They were said to adopt alien children and raise them as their own. They would risk their lives for strangers. Some humans even tried to save their food animals from suffering, which made no sense to most species. They are unpredictable, said Councillor Vexera, her gas form swirling in agitation. Unpredictable beings are dangerous to the stability of our alliance. In the human section of the gallery, Representative Jonah sat quietly. He was a tall man with dark hair and calm eyes. He had listened to these discussions for months now. The humans wanted to join the Galactic Alliance, but the other species feared them. Jonah stood up when the speaker recognized him. Honorable council members, he said in clear, measured words, we understand your concerns. Humans are different, yes, but we offer something valuable to the Alliance. We never give up. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We find solutions when others see only problems. That is exactly what frightens us, Council Prime Scala rumbled. Your species does not follow logical behavior patterns. You take risks that no sane being would take. Jonah nodded. This is true, but perhaps this is why you need us. When the normal ways fail, humans find new ways. The hall fell silent. Many council members had never thought of human unpredictability as useful. They saw it only as chaos. Ambassador Valari spoke again. I propose a solution. We send an observer to study the humans in their natural environment during a real crisis. We need to see how they truly behave under pressure. Who would volunteer for such a dangerous mission? Asked Councillor Vexera. I will go, came a voice from the Nexarian section. The decision that would change everything had just been made. The observer's mission. Emissary Kendara materialized on the platform beside Valari. She was younger than most Nexarian diplomats, but she had a reputation for fearless investigation. Her silver form sparkled with determination. Emissary Kendara has observed over 200 species, Valari explained. She has never failed to provide accurate reports, even in dangerous situations. Council Prime Scala considered this. What kind of crisis would provide a proper test? Representative Jonah stepped forward. If I may suggest, Prime Scala, our rescue services are always responding to emergencies. Space mining is dangerous work. There are often accidents that require difficult rescue operations. The observer could watch how we handle a real life-or-death situation. Excellent, said Emissary Kendara. I will observe your rescue teams during their next major emergency. I will report exactly what I see with no interpretation or bias. The council voted. It was close, but the proposal passed. Emissary Kendara would travel to human space and observe their behavior during a crisis. Based on her report, the council would decide whether humans could join the alliance. As the council session ended, Jonah approached Kendara. Emissary, I want you to know that we will not change our behavior because you are watching. You will see us as we really are. That is what I hope for, Kendara replied, though I must warn you, if I see the savage behavior that others report, I will include it in my findings. We would expect nothing less, Jonah said with a slight smile. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Neon was finishing her daily reports when her communication screen lit up. The message was marked with highest urgency from Fleet Command. Neon was a veteran rescue captain with 15 years of experience. She had pulled people from burning ships, collapsed stations, and failed atmospheric processors. Her crew trusted her completely, and she had never lost anyone under her command. The message was short but serious. Captain Neon was being assigned to the next major rescue operation that occurred. She would have an alien observer aboard her ship. The observer was from a species that would help decide whether humans could join the Galactic Alliance. No pressure, Neon muttered to herself as she read the details. Her first officer, Lieutenant Tahan, looked over her shoulder. Captain, what does this mean? It means we need to be ready for anything, Neon replied. And we need to show them what humans are really made of. She did not know that within 3 days, an emergency signal would come from the mining colony on Kepler 442b. 300 miners would be trapped underground with failing life support. The rescue would be the most dangerous operation of her career. And Emissary Kendara would be watching every moment. The test was about to begin. The emergency call. The rescue ship Indomitable Spirit moved through space like a silver arrow. It was not the largest ship in the human fleet, but it was built for one purpose, saving lives. Captain Neon stood on the bridge, watching the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, people needed help. 3 days had passed since she received her special assignment. Now the emergency call had come. The mining colony on Kepler 442b was in serious trouble. Equipment failures had trapped 300 workers underground. Their air was running out. Captain, called Communications Officer Dongyun from his station, I'm getting the final transmission from the colony. They have maybe 18 hours of breathable air left. Neon nodded grimly. How long until we reach them? 14 hours if we push the engines hard, replied Navigator Sanho. Then we push them hard, Neon said. Signal the engine room. Tell them we need maximum speed. As the crew worked at their stations, the air above the bridge began to shimmer. A silver light appeared, growing brighter and taking shape. Slowly, a form materialized, tall, graceful, and glowing with soft light. Emissary Kendara had arrived. Kendara looked around the bridge with her large silver eyes. She had studied human ships in detail, but being inside one felt different. The walls were painted with warm colors. There were small plants growing in corners. Pictures of Earth's oceans hung on the walls. This was not what she expected from a military vessel. The humans at their workstations glanced at her but did not stop their tasks. Kendara had been told that humans would react with fear or aggression to alien visitors. Instead, they seemed almost casual about her presence. Welcome aboard the Indomitable Spirit, Emissary. The voice came from behind her. Kendara turned to see a young human male approaching. He wore an engineer's uniform and had kind eyes. I am Engineer Tahan. Captain Neon asked me to make sure you are comfortable during your stay. This was unexpected. Kendara's form flickered with confusion. You are not afraid of me? Tahan smiled. Should I be? You're here to observe us, not hurt us. Captain Neon says you're trying to understand humans better. That sounds like a good thing to me. But your species is known for violent reactions to the unknown, Kendara said. Some humans might react that way, Tahan admitted, but we're trained for rescue work. We meet new people all the time, often in bad situations. We've learned that being friendly works better than being scared. He gestured toward a small room near the bridge. I've prepared quarters for you. The gravity and atmosphere are adjusted to your preferences. Is there anything else you need? Kendara was processing this interaction. Everything she had been told about human aggression seemed wrong. These beings were welcoming. I require only observation, she said. I must see how you handle the crisis. Then you'll want to stay on the bridge, Tahan said. Things are about to get interesting. Captain Neon's voice cut through the bridge chatter. All stations, prepare for emergency rescue protocol. We have 300 lives depending on us, and 4 hours less time than we need. The human crew moved with practiced efficiency. No panic, no wasted motion. Kendara watched as they coordinated their efforts with quiet determination. This was not what the Galactic Council expected to see. But the real test was still ahead. The impossible rescue. The indomitable spirit dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b. The mining colony's distress beacon pulsed weakly against the darkness of space. Report, Captain Neon ordered as she took her position. Surface installations are intact, reported scanner operator Yuki, but there's been a massive underground collapse. The main shaft is completely blocked. All 300 miners are trapped in the lower levels. Air supply. 12 hours remaining, maybe less. Neon studied the readings. Options? We could try drilling a new shaft, suggested Engineer Tahan, but that would take at least 20 hours. The miners don't have 20 hours, Neon replied. What else? There's an old emergency tunnel, Yuki said, pulling up schematics. It's narrow and unstable. The mining company sealed it years ago because it was too dangerous. Kendara watched the human crew process this information. Any logical species would recognize the impossible nature of the situation. The rational choice was to attempt the 20-hour drilling operation and accept the loss of life. How narrow? Neon asked. Barely wide enough for one person at a time. And Captain? Yuki hesitated. The tunnel runs through an active seismic zone. Any vibration could cause another collapse. So we go in quiet, Neon said simply. Tahan, prep the emergency descent gear. Yuki, I need precise readings on tunnel stability. Sanho, calculate the fastest route to the trapped miners. Kendara's form shimmered with confusion. Captain Neon, surely you cannot be considering this course of action. The probability of success is minimal. The risk to your crew is enormous. Neon turned to face the alien observer. Emissary, with respect, we don't calculate probabilities when people are dying. We find a way or we make one. But logic dictates. Logic says those miners are already dead, Neon interrupted. We don't accept that. Within 2 hours, the rescue team was ready. Captain Neon would lead a team of 6 into the unstable tunnel. They carried minimal equipment to avoid triggering seismic sensors. Captain, Engineer Tahan said as they prepared to descend, I should go instead. You're needed here. I'm needed down there too, Neon replied. Besides, I'm not sending anyone where I won't go myself. Kendara observed this exchange with growing amazement. The human captain was deliberately placing herself in maximum danger. This behavior defied all known patterns of intelligent leadership. The descent began. Kendara watched through helmet cameras as the rescue team navigated the treacherous tunnel. The walls groaned ominously. Loose rocks fell with every step. Any moment could bring total collapse. Seismic activity increasing, reported Yuki from the bridge. "Captain, you need to get out of there." "Not without the miners," came Neon's steady voice through the comm. 8 hours into the rescue, they reached the trapped workers. The miners were weak, their air nearly gone. But when they saw the rescue team, hope returned to their eyes. "How are we getting out?" asked the mining foreman. "Same way we came in," Neon replied. "One at a time, nice and quiet." The evacuation took 4 more hours. Each trip through the unstable tunnel risked everyone's life. But the humans never hesitated. They made trip after trip, carrying the weak, supporting the injured, never leaving anyone behind. Kendara watched every moment. She recorded everything, the careful coordination, the personal risk, the absolute refusal to abandon anyone. When the last miner reached safety, the old tunnel finally gave way. The passage collapsed completely just minutes after the final evacuation. All 300 miners survived. The human rescue team had achieved the impossible. As the survivors were loaded onto medical transports, something happened that Kendara did not expect. The mining foreman approached Captain Neon. "Captain," he said, his voice breaking with emotion, "we know you risked everything for us. We know you could have died down there. How do we thank you for our lives?" Neon looked puzzled. "Thank us? You don't need to thank us. This is what we do." But the foreman shook his head. "No, Captain. This is who you are." Kendara's observation mission was complete. She had witnessed something that would change the Galactic Council's understanding forever. The Council's decision. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Council reconvened. The Great Hall buzzed with anticipation as representatives from hundreds of species waited to hear emissary Kendara's report. Ambassador Valari called for order. "The Assembly will hear the findings of emissary Kendara regarding the human species and their request for alliance membership." Kendara materialized at the center platform, her silver form glowing with calm certainty. She had spent days preparing this report, reviewing every moment of her observation. "Honored Council members," she began, "I have completed my investigation of human behavior during crisis situations. What I discovered challenges every assumption we have made about this species." Council Prime Scala leaned forward. "Were our concerns about their unpredictable nature confirmed?" "Yes and no," Kendara replied. "Humans are indeed unpredictable, but not in the way we understood. When faced with impossible odds, when logic demanded retreat, when any rational species would accept defeat, the humans did something else entirely." She paused, her form brightening. "They refused to give up." Murmurs spread through the assembly. Representative Morin clicked his mandibles nervously. "Surely this confirms their dangerous irrationality. I witnessed Captain Neon and her crew risk their lives to save 300 trapped miners," Kendara continued. "The rescue had a minimal probability of success. The rational choice was to accept the losses and save the rescue team. Instead, they achieved the impossible." "This proves our point," exclaimed Councillor Vexra. "Such behavior is dangerously unpredictable." "I thought so too," Kendara admitted. "Until I understood what I was really seeing. The humans do not calculate acceptable losses. They do not abandon the weak. They do not surrender when others would call defeat inevitable." Her voice grew stronger. "But most importantly, they thanked me." The hall fell silent. This was unexpected. After the rescue, when the operation was complete and lives were saved, the mining foreman asked how they could possibly thank the rescue team. Captain Neon seemed genuinely confused by the question. To her, risking everything to save others was simply normal. Kendara's form pulsed with a warm light. "Council members, in my 200 species observations, I have never encountered beings who consider extreme sacrifice for strangers to be routine behavior. I have never seen a species that refuses to calculate acceptable losses. I have never met beings who seem genuinely surprised when others thank them for acts of extraordinary heroism." Council Prime Scala's massive form shifted. But surely such behavior makes them unsuitable for our alliance. They will take risks that endanger us all. With respect, Prime Scala, I believe we have this backwards, Kendara replied. The question is not whether we can afford to accept humans into our alliance. The question is whether we can afford not to. She gestured to the assembly. We have spent centuries building an alliance based on mutual benefit and logical cooperation. We have achieved stability and peace. But what happens when we face a crisis that logic cannot solve? What happens when we encounter a threat that our calculations say is impossible to defeat? The hall remained silent as her words sank in. When that day comes, Kendara continued, we will need beings who do not accept defeat. We will need someone who looks at impossible odds and says, we find a way or we make one. We will need humans. Ambassador Valari spoke into the silence. Emissary Kendara, what is your recommendation regarding the human petition for alliance membership? Kendara's form blazed with conviction. I recommend immediate acceptance. And I have one more recommendation. Yes. When we face our next impossible crisis, and we will, I suggest we ask the humans to lead the response. The vote was called. For the first time in Galactic Council history, it was unanimous. Representative Jonah stood in the human gallery, tears streaming down his face as the acceptance was announced. Around him, other human observers embraced and celebrated quietly. As the session concluded, Council Prime Scala approached Kendara. Emissary, I must ask, what changed your perspective so completely? Kendara's silver form shimmered with something that might have been a smile. Prime Scala, I expected to study the galaxy's most dangerous species. Instead, I discovered something far more remarkable. Which is? I discovered hope. 3 months later, when the Zephyrian plague threatened to destroy entire star systems and all conventional treatments failed, the Galactic Alliance faced its first impossible crisis as a unified organization. The humans didn't just find a cure, they risked their own lives to deliver it personally to every affected world, refusing to accept any payment beyond a simple, thank you. Emissary Kendara, now serving as the official liaison between the Nexarian High Council and Earth, watched from the bridge of a human medical ship as they approached another plague-stricken world. Still surprised by their behavior, asked Captain Neon, who had been promoted to head the new Galactic Emergency Response Division. Kendara's form glowed with warm contentment. No longer surprised, Captain. But never less amazed. As the ship entered orbit around the desperate world below, ready to begin another impossible mission, Kendara understood that the Galactic Alliance had not just gained new members. They had gained something invaluable, the knowledge that sometimes, the most logical thing to do is to ignore logic entirely and simply refuse to give up. And for that lesson, the galaxy would be forever grateful. The end.